Hey, everybody, this is Russell Moore. We're back with a listener question from one of you. I want to remind you, you can send us your question. We prefer in a voice memo that you can just attach to an email, but send it to us about anything, about a decision maybe you're making in your life or your family or relationship or your church or your work or a doctrinal, biblical, or moral sort of question. Send it to us at questions@russellmoore.com. This week, what's our question? I want to ask that to our producer, Leslie Thompson. Do we have a question, Leslie?
I'm really interested to hear your take on this question because as a young woman, I have many female friends that are in this boat with the listener. So the question is this. I am a single woman among many single women, and we are facing a numbers problem with finding mature Christian men to marry. To put it simply, there just aren't many fish in the sea. We are told that marrying well is important, and yet there aren't options without settling for a less spiritually mature partner. Could it be God's plan for so many women to remain unmarried? I hear the angst. I hear the angst in this question, Russell. What's going on here?
Well, it's hard for me to answer this question because it could be coming from uh, one of two directions. And so if I were sitting down with this person, the first thing I would be trying to do is to discern which of those directions this person is coming from. Because, first of all, she's right about the situation. I hear this too a lot from young women who will say, at least in their context, uh, they have obviously a lot of men, but a lot of men who are really immature, sometimes relationally inhibited, sometimes with some serious problems like porn addiction or mistreatment, all kinds of things like that. Uh, and so the question is, should I settle? I'm going to try to figure out with this person, if I were talking to her, if she's the if she's the type of person who has an unrealistic ideal where what she's really trying to avoid is what she really wants is an already completely mature, spiritually excelling sort of person who, when you really press beneath it all, you realize what she wants is somebody who's not a sinner. There are people who have that expectation, men and women, and so they have this sort of ideal picture, and nobody can meet that, or they idealize the person and then become really resentful when the person doesn't meet that. So with that person, what I would want to do is to have a sense of understanding, no matter who it is that you end up with, you're going to be dealing with a flawed human sinner like you are. And even when you have somebody who is committed to Christ and growing in Christ, by definition, that person is not going to be at the level of maturity that he or she should be in after many more years of following Christ. So if that's the mentality, if that's what she means by settling, then what I would want to do is to try to break apart that unrealistic idealization. It also could be, though, that what she's talking about, and probably more likely, is this idea that, well, by settling, what I need to do is to say, it matters more that I'm married than it does who I'm married to. And I think, nobody would word it that way, but often that's kind of a general assumption. And you end up with uh, unrealistic, just like in the first case, you've got unrealistically high expectations. In this case, you've got unrealistically low expectations, where you start to think, well, any man is going to be like this. And I've seen this a lot, where you have women who will say, well, I mean, that's just what men are like. Men are rude, or men are promiscuous, or all of those kinds of things with a really, really low expectation that's going to end up getting you hurt. And so I would say don't settle in that way, because if you do, what you're doing is not only hurting yourself, you're also potentially hurting generations of other people. There are, in most cases, children who come along. Those children have children, and those children have children. You don't want to say, well, I mean, I've got to have somebody, so let me just go with this loser, and end up hurting those people in the future. So I would say um, the better situation is if you're saying I really want to be married, and I think that God is calling me to be married, but I can't find somebody. Start with asking for somebody. Uh, Pray for this and seek this. And then secondly, look around at your environment and say, is there something in my environment here that I could change? So I have known people who have said, I'm in a situation where our church just doesn't have very many spiritually mature younger men. So I've even known I had one person who she didn't leave her church, but she started going to a Tuesday night Bible study with a lot of young people around her age, and was able to find a good relationship there. That might be an option. It might be an option to put yourself, if you say my workplace isn't providing these means of engagement to people. No, I mean not literal engagement, but interaction with people, or my church isn't, then I can find some sort of third area of service where I'm likely to start to meet people. But I wouldn't say settle for a bad man. I wonder what question you have. Send it to us at questions@russellmoore.com, especially if it's a voice memo. Just attach it to the email and we'll take up your question when we can.